This is the Rupanuga-line. Srila Guru Maharaj is the Rupanuga-dharma. And he's carrying the current of Srila Rupa Goswami. When actually Srila Bhakti Puri Maharaj, he turned to me once in front of Guru Maharaj and said, Rupanuga-dhara, Rupanuga-dhara. And at the time, I'd never heard that. So later, I asked Guru Maharaj to explain it. And he was very, a little shy, embarrassed, and he said, oh, because how is he going to tell me that Rupanuga-dhara means the person who's carrying the current of Rupa Goswami. The line, that flow, the pure flow of the Rupanuga-line is in him. And he would say, as we will hear tomorrow, before Narottam Das Thakur, composer of Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, song saying, Sri Rupa Manjari is everything in this line. Because Guru Maharaj said, one gentleman said, but why not Radharani or Lalita? It's a good question to ask, and of course Radharani. But who has the audacity, as Guru Maharaj said, and Chaitanya Saraswati, no garland for Radharani? Why? He said, who has the audacity to put a garland on Radharani? So her position is supreme, but Anuradha, Lalita Saki, then next we should think, her Anand Borleela, Radha-Damodar, you find perhaps in Kavi Karnapur's writing, where he says, we are Rupanuga, also. The Rupanugas are Swarupanugas, followers of Radha-Damodar, and by inference, Lalita Saki. And there's some fine points there for us not to go into. But Srila Rupa Goswami and Sri Rupa Manjari, the leader of the junior section. And it could seem like you're getting more removed. Like once when Guru Maharaj and I developed a kind of shorthand for speaking to one another, I went before him and I was just thinking out loud, and I said, third position. That's all I said. Third is thinking up. And Guru Maharaj said, fifth. And I went, oh, that was the discussion. So what did it mean? I was thinking, what is the highest position that a jiva-soul can attain? But the reason I said third, I wasn't counting Radha. That just didn't factor in, but that's 1 and 2, they're there. Then the Sakis, then the Manjaris, then their assistants. So that's what he said. Fifth, that's the position. And so from an objective point of view, you can think, well, you're getting more and more removed, so the experience must be less and less intense, right? On account of the distance or seeming lack of intimacy or connection. But Guru Maharaj said, no, that why it is even better, because sometimes Radharani requires some very special service, Radha Govinda, and the equals, those Sakis who are similars, they can't go at that time, but they, somebody say, depute the juniors to go. So at the time of this greatest, most confidential service necessity, the juniors can render that service. And Guru Maharaj said, and describing Vrindavan, and talking about the ultimate bhajan consideration. He said when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhakti Vinod Thakur had completed we're doing the parikrama, they're also doing parikrama at times. And then Bhakti Vinod Thakur let drop this enigmatic phrase when he said, we know Vrindavan is for the hollow, shallow thinkers. And I have the audacity to say that in Vrindavan because I'm repeating those words. But it's very contextual. And then he explains what he means. Saying, because it's famous for Milan or union. He's saying, but a man of real bhajan will prefer Kurukshetra. I think Kurukshetra Gita? No. Kurukshetra, of after 100 years of separation, at last, the Radharani and Braja Gopis get to meet with Krishna. When I say 100 years of separation, remember, we hear in the Gopi Gita, Atatiyat Bhavan Anikananam Kutir Yugayate Tamapashatam Kuntila Kuntalam Srimukantate Yada Dikshisham Paksma Kridrusham. These girls, the Gopis, these teenage girls, Vrindavan, half-civilized, silly jungle girls, who are the highest, the most elevated souls, they're cursing Brahma, the creator, for making eyes that blink. Because when the eye blinks, for that nanosecond, they're not seeing Krishna. That tells us how intense they are. They can't tolerate eyes blinking. And they're cursing the creator as being a fool for not properly constructing eyes. We hear from the great interpreters of the Bhagavatam, the Rasa Leela, that evening, we're told it's Brahma Ratri, an evening of Brahma, just as a day of Brahma in Gita, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Ahorya Brahmano Vidu, 1,000 Yuga cycles taken together. That means roughly 4,300,000,000 years. So at the insistence of Krishna, Yogamaya assembled an evening of nights of Brahma into one night for the Rasa Leela. So think 4,300,000,000 years approximately. So, and Gurudev interestingly addresses this point in Siddhanta Maharaj's book, Heart.
Religion of the Heart.
Religion of the Heart. That's why I told you, there are things there you won't find anywhere else. Gurudev quoting Shyama, one of the great poets, Vidyapati, saying about Shyamanam, how no amount of milan or union with Krishna will ever satisfy a devotee. They will always be left in a hankering position, wanting more. Whereas, so, when they say that night of Brahma for the Rasa Leela, they say, it was like the blink of an eye. Right? The blink of an eye. 4,300,000,000 years. It was like the blink of an eye before it would vanish. And now we're left in a hankering position. That's union. But what do they say about in separation? Viraha, Krishna Viraha, that the blink of an eye is like a night of Brahma. That's different. That's another sort of sentiment, going in another direction. It betrays an even greater magnitude and depth of sentiment. So, those who cannot tolerate the blink of an eye's separation from Krishna, they had to experience that for 100 years. And now in Kurukshetra and the solar eclipse, they're getting the opportunity to see him again. So, what sort of anticipation we hear. And also in the Garga Samhita, we hear that the queens of Dwaraka, they are fascinated. They hear talks of Vrindavan, primarily from Rohini, Balaram's mother, because she has some position in Dwaraka. They're hearing from her about, and they hear about the beauty of Vrindavan, the paraphernalia, the mayur, like we hear in the Kujatko, Kilahangsa Sadasa, Kire Mayur, how beautiful the birds, the cows, the Jamuna, everything, and they hear of these Braja Gopis. And they hear of this one particular Braja Gopi, Radharani. And they're thinking, these queens of Dwarka, they know Satyabhama, Rukmini, Lakshmana, how beautiful they are. They know they are inconceivably beautiful. But their imagination has been piqued by wondering, like, how beautiful could she be, this Radharani, who's Krishna's favorite and his girlfriend from his teenage years. there's, if we would get a chance to just have a glimpse, then we could assess. So we're told Radharani comes on a palanquin to Kurukshetra, carried by the Braja Gopis, and the queens of Dwarka there, they're waiting. Now we know from Guru Maharaj, Srila Saraswati Thakur, once like two chairs are drawn, one man's praising the beauty of Lakshmi Devi, and before Saraswati Thakur, and he can't tolerate it. He wants to say something about the beauty of Radharani, but it's inappropriate. We don't say that. Right? I'm prefacing my remarks by saying this. And we're told by Guru, as the man went on and on, quoting slogans about the beauty of Lakshmi Devi and Saraswati Thakur, his internal conflict becoming more and more intense. He wants to say something, but he can't. He fainted and fell on the floor, but did not say anything. So will I now violate that? No, hopefully not. Madhusudan Maharaj is here. But I can say that we could say something by inference only. So we're told when Radharani is brought on the palanquin by the Braja Gopis, and the queens of Dwarka see her, when they see how beautiful she is, they faint. That much we can say. The beauty of Radharani made the queens of Dwarka just pass out, faint. They couldn't stand it. She was that beautiful. Put them in a fainted position. So then, and that's a side note of the meeting. But there they finally get to meet again, and Radharani and Braja Gopis cannot conceal their disappointment to see Dwaraka Krishna, meaning no flute, no Gopa-vesh, no, he's dressed like a king. The Vrindavan is like Brinda Aranya, right? A forest of tulsi. And she said, and what do I see here? Lok Aranya, a people forest. Just people, chariots. So what is the principal pastime of Mahaprabhu and his devotees? Ratha-yatra, where they want to take Krishna, Dwarka Krishna, Jagannath, back to Vrindavan. It's the celebration of this event. But we're told at that time that Radharani, unable to conceal their disappointment, expresses to Krishna, Ahustate Nalina Navapadarvindam Yogeshware Ridivichantam Agada Godhai Samsara Kupa Patito Tanavalamvam Gehun Dusam Manasi Sadhana Surya Sadhana. She's saying, when we were feeling deep separation from you before, you sent Uddhava with a message to us and saying that we should learn yoga. And yoga meditation, we know it's very popular. We've heard. And we should learn, and you told us, God is everywhere. So learn to meditate. The Braja Gopis are feeling separation from Krishna. He's telling them, God is everywhere. You learn how to meditate and you'll feel that and everything. And Radharani saying, we didn't think that was funny. None of us are laughing. We are Gopis. We're not yogis, we're not karmis, we're not gyanis, we're not yogis, and we're not going to become them anytime soon. And you know who we are. And you know what we want. You remember Katyayani Vrat, when we prayed to the goddess for you to be our husband. You know who we are and what we want from you. And Guru Maharaj liked this very much. A man assembly similar to this, disciples of Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupad, Guru Maharaj asked them to say something and what they appreciate about Krishna consciousness. And one lady said, what I like is that we're being given the opportunity to have a family life with Krishna. And Guru Maharaj can testify. He quoted that for the next 30 years. And Srila Govinda Maharaj, they loved it so much. It was the perfect thing to say. because it included everything. Because family life has many aspects to it, which I'm not going to go into. You can look on Wikipedia. But so it means, loving exchange. So he liked that. She said, that's what I like. And it's what Radharani tells Krishna. That's what, you know who we are, you know what we want. And the only way this can work is in Vrindavan. What you're doing right now, some kind of temporary insanity, no flute, no Gopis, we understand in separation you might have lost your mind. The sooner you come back to Vrindavan, the better. And Krishna is very moved. He says, maha-bhav amritataya kalpate dishyad madsneho bhavatinam madapana. He said, people think it would be a mistake for you to think I don't feel anything. He said, I cry day and night in separation from you and the Braja Gopis and my Vrindavan and its paraphernalia. And so I have some job to do here, and like this Asura Kula Nashana, kill a few more Asuras, and then I'll be back soon, within a few days. But what I want you to know is this, that everyone wants me. They're thinking, yes, of course, we are. No, but everyone wants. The karmis want me. Oh, my Lord, save me, I've sinned. Karmic reactions are coming soon. Please, help me, save me. Right? From impending karmic, jnanis want me. Yogis, everyone wants me. And devotees also. And if they get me, they think they hit the lottery. The yam labha, chakram labha, manjite naditam tataha. Bhagavad Gita. And when you achieve this, you'll think, this is it. Nothing more. He said, and it's true. It is true. If you get me, you get everything. But what about me? I reciprocate. They surrender themselves to me. I reciprocate that. But what about me? And this is the important point you need to know. Is I consider myself fortunate that I'm the object of the pure, unalloyed devotion and love and affection that is in your hearts. I am the object of that. How fortunate I am. That's my position. Everyone else wants me. I want you. And that pure thing that is in your heart. Right? We know he said, normally, as you surrender me, I reward accordingly. He said, but when the Braja Gopis came along with their method of love and devotion, I couldn't reciprocate. The love and affection that is in their hearts is beyond what I can reciprocate. So let virtue be its own reward, he's telling them. But when Radharani hears this from Krishna, Krishna's saying, really, I live for you and the love and affection that is in your hearts. That's everything to me. She tells him, oh, we can go now. He is ours. He has always been ours, and he will rejoin us soon. But still, Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Ranjan said, so why is Kurukshetra important? Separation reaches its zenith point there, just before this talk. And what does that mean? And Guru Maharaj, as he does, he distilled this into a principle that we can understand. That is a rare gift. And it's almost like an aphorism. He said, service, according to the intensity of its necessity, draws remuneration. That is the point. Service, according to the intensity of its necessity, draws remuneration. So he's saying Radharani's service necessity from her group reaches its zenith point here. So it's the greatest necessity, the greatest intensity, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, so if you will serve at that place at that time, you will get the highest reward, and there'll be no hope of ever coming back to this world again. You won't ever have to worry. You'll achieve a plane that is so high, so deep, so noble, you'll be finished with this once and for all, for good. So when I said that to Guru Maharaj about third, fifth, and this talk about what is the highest possible achievement of a jiva-soul, and it's called, in the praying sequence, bhav. Right? It's before maha-bhav. We're told maha-bhav, the highest type of Krishna praying, can only be experienced by Radharani and Mahaprabhu. But Guru Maharaj said, this is the secret of the Rupanuga-line. By rendering service at that time to Radharani when she has the greatest necessity, he said it's as if she has a plate of maha-bhav, and out of gratitude to her servants, she says, here, have a taste of what we're experiencing. So she's nourishing them with something that is beyond the constitutional capacity of a jiva-soul to experience. Therefore, Rupanuga-line, they're exclusively devoted to Srimati Radharani and promoting her. And how fortunate we are to come in the month of Radharani, Kartik Mas, as we've heard from Guru Maharaj, the fashion of the day to name the daughters after the nakshatras, and who's the rishi? Daksha. The daughters of Daksha. So her mother's name Kirtika, her name Kartiki, the daughter of Kirtika. And in Gita it says Margo, what is it? Ma Shirsho. I am of months. I am like November. So Sanatana Goswami Prabhu tells us, if Krishna is November, then Radharani is October. Before that, and different and encrypted in different ways. So at this time, and this special time, this moment in Kartik, this month, but not only, and to be in Vrindavan, but to be in this very place, the spring, the fountainhead of the Rupanuga-line, at the as we said, within 50 meters of the Samadhi and Bhajan Kutir of Srila Rupa Goswami, and Srila jiva-Goswami Krishnas. And the reason we're speaking here, it would be difficult there. We will go there, but we just wanted to say something here first. And anyone who is in connection with the modern day Krishna consciousness movement must understand, in his room there at Radha-Damodar, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhakti Swami Prabhupad, that's where he made these decisions to come to the Western world and distribute Krishna consciousness. If someone said, well, I'm not in that, in ISKCON or his disciple. No, if you have connection with anyone, if it wasn't for Prabhupada, you wouldn't have a guru, whoever it is, real or imagined. Right? It's that we wouldn't be able to talk about any of these things, including our own Guru Maharaj, Gurudev, Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, all of these discussions that we have without Srila Prabhupada making this decision, right? Hearing the voice of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur beating in his heart till where it became synonymous with his heartbeat. Vilasatu Hridi Nityam Bhakti Siddhanta Vani, Guru Maharaj, and his pranam, one of his pranams is Saraswati Thakur. He's saying, may his divine voice, his Vani, Saraswati, Guru Maharaj translates as Vani. That's his poetic genius. The last name is Saraswati, Bhakti Siddhanta, Saraswati, Guru Maharaj says Bhakti Siddhanta, Vani. The words, the message, the order coming from Srila Saraswati Thakur, Vilasatu Hridi Nityam. May it forever play upon our hearts. Was playing upon the heart of Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, just over there. He could not deny that voice, he didn't want to, and we shouldn't think, he just started preaching in 1965, 60, no, he's preaching his whole life. In his childhood he was preaching. to the local children, arranging Jagannath festivals. So he's always preaching. If you see from there, when Janmashtami would come, he would invite some local business leaders to come and have his little program there. So it's not that he just started preaching in 1965 or 66. But he had an epiphany where he realized, reading Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, who we will get darshan of tomorrow, that parsing the verse, that the disciples' sole purpose for living is to fulfill the order of Sri Guru. He had an epiphany about this and realized, that's why I'm alive. That's why I take another breath. It's very Das Goswami-like, and the same intensity of Vilapakusa Manjari. So he's saying, that's why I'm alive. So he's willing to risk everything to do this. And where is he? He's situated at the Samadhi and Bhajan Kutir of Srila Rupa Goswami and jiva-Goswami and Krishna's Kaviraj, and writing Bhagavatam. And I used to be at ISKCON Press many years ago, and once I had the key to the archive, which was like in Elmira at the time, and I go in there, I find all these old manuscripts of Prabhupada from there, like before he came to America, but we had them. And I'm looking at them, and these papers, they're all like legal size, but thinking everything is significant. Like it's Chaitanya Charitamrita, I mean, the spiritual message. Turn the page over, and it's all like accounting and business things. And I was perplexed. I couldn't understand that. And then I understood in time. He had so little wealth that he couldn't buy pristine paper. In India, they don't throw anything away, right? They're the original recyclers. So this paper.
Shri Guru Gauranga Gandha Rasa Vihari Yugi.
Looking so beautiful. So in other words, he would go and buy used paper. It was, and he would type on the unused side. That means he had no money whatsoever. And what's he typing? Chaitanya Charitamritam, Srimad Bhagavatam. He's on a mission, right? Vilasatu Hri Nityam Bhakti Siddhanta Bani. When he finally arranges to get on the boat to go across the ocean to America, he says, now he's out in the middle of the ocean. He's saying, I'm feeling so much separation from Vrindavan and my worshipable lords, Radha-Damodar, Radha Gopinath, Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Govinda. And he says, daily I am relishing the nectarine of Sri Chaitanya Leela, which is the source of my all vitality. Right, so even in that situation, where is he getting this power, this nourishment from? Gaur Leela. And we know, in the middle of the ocean, he has 2 heart attacks. You think, what do you have to do to get Krishna's attention? He's already purest of the pure. But Krishna likes the cliffhanger, they die and he brings them back to life kind of pastimes, Aghasura, etc. You can verify, I'm not making this up. So, Prabhupada had 2 heart attacks in the middle of the ocean, and you see in the diary, I found the diary, like a gash going across those pages. And then the first thing he says, today I'm feeling better, said I made some bati chachari. It's like Bengali comfort food. And he's getting his strength back. And that's when we hear the captain says suddenly the ocean becomes like a pond. And he has a dream where Krishna says, Abai, don't worry. The name Abai means fearless. Krishna has a sense of humor. Abai, don't worry. I'm in charge of the boat now. And Guru Maharaj said, So we talked earlier about Atma Samarpanam, offering yourself, placing yourself, your soul on the altar of self-sacrifice. Srila Prabhupada did that literally and physically. So, and what is Guru Maharaj? Again, ever, the interpreter, he said, what do we observe here? He had wholly emptied himself of any other desire than the order of his guru. That's in line with Prabhupada's epiphany. Right? He's having wholly emptied himself, right? Then he becomes a superconductor. He's filled with Shakti-based empowerment. Guru Maharaj said, at that point, divine power had to come down and work on his behalf, which is the true hallmark of devotion, where the infinite comes under the control of the finite. And then we know the rest is history. Prabhupada goes to America, and it doesn't happen easily. Even after a year, he thought of returning because he couldn't show any. He distributed books in stores, had some programs, but no substantial success. And then one of his famous disciples, Hayagriva, who saw him, he'd just been down checking the chart, like when's the next boat back to India? He was that close to returning. And Hayagriva says these famous words. He says, are you from India? Am I from India? I'm from Goloka Vrindavan. Let me tell you about it. I descended here to give you something. Been waiting for you to come to receive it. And Guru Maharaj concluded this. He once said, don't expect when you take the Krishna consciousness that your family, friends, fellow citizens, they're going to have a parade in your honor, right, to celebrate that. Like, oh, did you hear? Yeah, we're having a festival this Saturday to celebrate that he's finally. No, they will abandon you, say you're crazy. Madhavendra Puri covers all these things in his famous sloka. And what I like is that after he lists all the things that people will say, and he said, and you can add to that the very thing I came for, I haven't got it yet. Put that on your list. He said, but Govinda Padaspriham, I'm not going to budge an inch from this attempt to serve the holy lotus feet of Govinda under the guidance of Radharani and her, But add to it, I didn't get it yet. Also, that, and Guru Maharaj said, if that's your mood, if you can, after all, whatever you've invested, lifetime, energy, in Krishna consciousness, and you can say, I don't have it. I don't have a drop of it. He said, then you might just be a devotee. He said, but if you think you've got it, you're finished. He didn't say, and if you think you've got it, that's unhealthy. No, he said, if you think you've got it, you're Krishna conscious, you're a devotee, you're finished. So the devotee is always in a position of want. That's what we learned. That is the best and the safest position to be in. So Guru Maharaj said, they're not going to hold a parade in your honor. But Krishna might. So after all that time, Prabhupada goes to America with $10, starts the movement. Then the last year, 1976, in New York City, there was going to be a Ratha-yatra festival. And I was there, and he knew how to promote Krishna consciousness, obviously. So all the press is coming to New York. He always, like, devotees always want to make a Vedic temple in the West. Prabhupada said, I want a glass skyscraper. That's what he wanted. Not a Vedic temple. He wanted a glass skyscraper. He said, that's what they have. I want one of those, and we'll put ISKCON on it. So he had that in the middle of Manhattan and New York. And so all these reporters come, and Prabhupada knows how to give you the money quotes, the leads, and how to play to the ego of the American. So he tells the people, he says, they're all sitting there with their pens, and he says, America is the most important country in the world. And they go, oh, of course. And he said, and in America, New York is the most important city. And they're all New Yorkers. They go, yeah. They write that, we like this. Where's this? He said, and in New York City, the most important street is Fifth Avenue. And they go, they write it down. And he goes, on that street, we're having our festival. He gave them their headline on 5th Avenue, Jagannath Krishna. And then we saw, it seems almost unbelievable in retrospect, but we saw 5th Avenue in New York City shut down, all the police on the side, the 3 chariots coming, and who's on Subhadra's chariot? But His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I realized, so Prabhupada, if you ask him, he'd say, this is all for Jagannath, we're glorifying Krishna. But what I began to see in time is Krishna. He said, yes, of course. But what he wanted to do was to celebrate his devotee. That is this open secret. Krishna always wants to celebrate the devotion of the devotee. That's why he's Kirchor, Gopinath, and Sakshi Gopal, and so many names that are devotee-based. So what he wanted is that pure devotee who risked his life and came around the boat with nothing. How did he leave? On a chariot on the most important street, the most important city, and the most important country in the world. Being celebrated, feted by everyone, a huge kirtan. It was the most unbelievable thing to see. And I'm sure it was Krishna's gift to Srila Prabhupada in recognition for his spreading the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. And it started in that room that we're going to see. In the Radha-Damodar temple of Srila Jiva-Goswami, with the Samadhi of Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the Samadhi and Bhajan Kutir of Srila Rupa Goswami. Hare Krishna. Shall we?
We shall. Jai Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaja ki Jai. It's like Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol Sri Kartik Hare Krama ki Jai.